Closed captioning is brought to you by Aaron Sachs & Associates.
Right now at 5, Indigo Sky Casino reaches out to law enforcement and victims after a data breach.
And that Arctic blast living up to its name, considerably colder across the area this morning, and we still have those wind chill advisories. Take a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, cleanup continues after a water pipe burst at the Jasper County Courthouse in Carthage.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So we told you about that Arctic blast, and by golly, it happened. But
I felt it this morning.
Oh my gosh, tell me about it. You walk outside and it's like getting hit in the face, especially for us. You know, we go to bed early. It was still actually pretty decent yesterday evening.
It was nice.
It was chilly, but it wasn't bad. But this morning, a totally different story out there. On top of that, take a look. It's windy as well. Look at the flags on top of City Hall from our camera on the Cordell Complex, downtown Joplin. I mean, look at the camera shaking. It's very breezy out there. So that's why we have those wind chill advisories, because wind chills, unfortunately, returning to the same position they were earlier this week, upwards of 15, 20 degrees below zero out there. MoDOT camera 28th and range line. Every so often you'll see it shaking in the breeze as well. But we got a lot more melting done yesterday, which is good. We have clear roadways. I still saw some snow up against curb lines, things like that, but not much left out there. And there's even some light snow on my way in this morning. So a few flurries will still be possible out there. Skywatch Storm Tracker, of course, the radar has a tough time picking up on flurries, but I assure you, if you go out, there are still some falling out there. And we have wind chill advisories. Now everybody getting in on the action. No changes in the time. So for the bulk of southeast Kansas, these run until 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. And for southwest Missouri, Bourbon, Crawford, Cherokee counties in Kansas, they run until noon on Saturday. Oklahoma and Arkansas, they run until noon today. However, there is one minor change there. They'll expire at noon today, go back into effect at midnight tonight, and carry on again until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning out there for those dangerously cold wind chills. And take a look at this, just cold temperatures in general. It is 10 degrees in Joplin. Yesterday morning, we were about 20 degrees warmer than that. Didn't take much. 8 degrees in Pittsburgh. Kids getting on the bus this morning because school is in session despite the cold. Few flurries, mostly cloudy. North breeze 15 to 20, gusting to 30. We're looking to be about 9 degrees this morning. By this afternoon, still breezy out there. Northwest wind gusting to 30. Temperatures into the upper teens under partly cloudy skies. And as we go through today, upper teens is about all we're going to muster in terms of highs today. So much colder, partly cloudy. So at least the sun will be out there somewhat. It'll look warmer than what it is, and it's still going to be breezy as we go through the day. The good news is this Arctic blast significantly shorter than the last one we just had. And we'll take a look at that forecast and when we're going to warm up again here in just a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Operations at the Jasper County Courthouse grinded to a halt last night after a pipe burst and flooded the building. The pipe burst around 6 yesterday, Wednesday, after business hours. County officials say the rupture went unnoticed for a prolonged period of time. The fire and sheriff's department both responded, and the county officials say that when they arrived, they found ankle-deep water in the road. Crews quickly shut off both the water and power to the building. Offices on the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st floors have extensive damage. ServPro workers arrived within an hour of first responders and began clearing the damage. The workers were also at the courthouse most of yesterday.
We can't do anything until we put it all back together again. That's going to take a little bit of time here in Carthage. And we'll proceed with that as soon as we can. But, you know, this is the morning after. We're still sorting through some of this stuff. Already talked to a contractor, already talked to our IT people, already talked to our furniture people. We've had discussions already, but we're just not there yet.
And people seeking to visit the assessor's or collector's office will be unable to do so until early next week, and will have to visit the Joplin office once power to the server is restored. Indigo Sky Casino in Wyandotte, Oklahoma notifies victims of a data breach incident. The casino says it learned about the breach on December 1st. The breach included employees' personal information, including names, driver's license numbers, social security numbers, and medical information, as well as some patron information. Indigo Sky has since taken steps to secure their systems and notify law enforcement. And the city of Parsons, Kansas is warning residents about unsafe drinking water. Officials say the water system violated a drinking water standard by having high levels of haloacetic acids, which is used as disinfectant in the water system. They say there is no immediate risk to the public, but if the high levels are consumed over a long period of time, it can increase the risk of cancer. The city and CDHE are investigating the issue and how to solve it. And we don't yet know the local impact, but Leggett & Platt is restructuring and expects to eliminate 900 to 1,100 jobs and close at least 15 facilities. The manufacturing company, headquartered in Carthage, produces components for use in bedding, furniture, seating, homes, offices, airplanes, and vehicles. The company approved a restructuring plan, but has not yet said what specific facilities will close. And an international manufacturer of industrial batteries will set its first North American headquarters in Missouri. TAB announced yesterday the establishment of a more than 66,000 square foot headquarters and assembly facility in Liberty, Missouri, creating 50 new jobs. The company's new location will provide proximity to its customer base and the ability to quickly distribute products throughout North and South America. And job seekers are encouraged to take part in the first State of Kansas Agency's Virtual Job Fair of 2024. The virtual fair will highlight a host of employment opportunities across the state's 98 government agencies with more than 700 positions available. Registration is required to participate in the event, which runs from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. this coming Wednesday, January 24th. Interested job seekers can head over to KOAMnewsnow.com for more information. And a new anti-money laundering law requires small businesses to report information about ownership to the federal government. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has more.
At the start of January, the Corporate Transparency Act went into effect, meaning small businesses must report financial records to the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. The purpose, to help prevent money laundering.
It would be small businesses. There are exceptions to larger corporations and a few other entities. But for the most part, if you're not already reporting to FinCEN in some way and you're a business, you should look into this and find out whether or not it applies to you.
Businesses have until January 1st of 2025 to make sure this is all filed, but if they miss the deadline, the consequences could be costly.
There are civil penalties. It's $500 a day that you're in noncompliance. There are criminal penalties, up to 2 years imprisonment and up to a $10,000 fine.
The Corporate Transparency Act was introduced in 2021 and approved in 2023. However, some small business owners might not be aware of this new requirement.
As soon as we found out that that really was going into effect with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, it hasn't really been talked about a lot. We really wanted to get it out to our members so they knew that this is a form that they're going to have to fill out. It is required.
Even new businesses created in 2024 needs to file.
With the different stipulations, when your business was incorporated, anytime after this year from January 1st of 2024, you have 90 days to fill out the paperwork, and anytime before that, you have until the end of the year.
Small business owners can file this information themselves, but the Chamber of Commerce recommends reaching out to a professional.
Not recommended to do that since this is a first time. Nobody really knows the ins and outs of this paperwork at this time.
Reporting in Jasper County, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
The federal government is offering webinars and other information to help business owners navigate the new rules. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News. Seneca boys hoops traveled across state lines to face Fort Scott yesterday afternoon. We'll have the details. Plus, Axiom Space launches its third private astronaut plane to the International Space Station Thursday. And cold temperatures return. We'll have what to expect with Chris Warner in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
Cremation should be a natural part of life. Make end-of-life decisions in a calm and rational. Midland Cremation Society is always here for you. Midland Cremation Society, Joplin.
It was an exciting morning at Northeast High School in Arma. 2 Viking seniors signed their letters of intent to continue their academic and athletic careers at the collegiate level. But not only that, they're going to the same school. A couple of student athletes in Southeast Kansas have signed to play, as we mentioned, at the collegiate level. Dawson Troth is heading to the University of St. Mary for track and field. His classmate Braden Young is also heading to St. Mary for football. Both athletes are hoping to grow athletically and beyond at their new school.
I, of course, want to get my degree in psychology and use that later on in life, but on the sport aspect of it, I want to attempt to make it to nationals in my, not just as a team, but in my specific events.
They really wanted to get to know me rather than get to know me as just a recruit. They were asking me personal questions and asking me what I like to do in my free time, and it made me really feel at home.
Over to high school basketball, it's tournament time. The past couple of days, we've been covering the Tony DeBray Classic in Liberal. Yesterday afternoon, the Four-State Classic at Frontenac tipping off. Seneca boys hoops across state lines in Frontenac yesterday afternoon, taking on Fort Scott, who has just one loss on the year. Tigers land the first couple of punches. Dirks Kegler hits the floater in the lane for the first points of the game. Then Cal Cousins takes a couple dribbles inside the three-point line to make it a 4-point lead. Seneca battles back. A couple of minutes later, Morgan Vaughn muscles in from the low post. That ties the game. Then Zane Grotjon hits the three from the corner. And Indians stretch it to a 7-point second quarter lead. But no panic from Fort Scott. Kegler finds himself open for three, and he calmly drains it. And the Tigers run away with it in the second half. They win by 20, 62-42. Webb City boys basketball also at Frontenac last night, playing the Owensville Flying Dutchman. Starting things off in the first, Baron Duda has it. He steps back, and he nails the jumper for three. Cardinals off to a 20-9 lead. Then check out this steal by Baron Duda. He snatches it, passes it off to Gabe Johnson, and Johnson drives it in for two. Webb City leads Owensville 29-20 at halftime. Start of the third, Flying Dutchman fighting back. Brady Watson passes to Chase Crosby. Sinks the three-pointer. You know what? Give him one more. Owensville makes this interesting, though. At the end of the third, Charles Hazelwood drives and at the last second nails a buzzer beater three. Flying Dutchman cut the lead, trailing 44-42. That's as good as it gets. Holton Keith misses the three-point try, but Duda gets his hands on it and drains the three. Duda finishes with 25 points, and Cardinals go on a 17-0 run to start the fourth quarter. Webb City survives to comeback with the comeback attempt to win 73-53. Over at Pittsburgh High School, a few local teams do battle with schools coming in from several different areas across Missouri, Kansas, like Wichita, Kansas City, and Springfield. Carthage facing Blue Valley Northwest in the opening game of the Bill Hanson Memorial Tournament. In the opening minutes, Lady Tigers get after it. Jaden Brunnert knocks down the three from the corner. Later in the quarter, her teammate Lauren Choate shoots and scores beyond the arc. Carthage stayed hot in the first quarter. This time, Lexa Youngblood shows off her range. Lady Tigers led by 6 at the end of the first. But Blue Valley Northwest starts to wake up. Elise Grossdidier makes the layup in transition. Huskies lead by 6 at halftime. In the second half, Maggie Boyd puts in a three-point shot, but Blue Valley Northwest was too much tonight. Elise Grossdidier beats the buzzer to end the third quarter. Blue Valley Northwest goes on to beat Carthage 61-29. Carl Junction hitting the floor last night in the opening round of the Bill Hanson Tournament. Lady Bulldogs face Olathe North. Early in the game, Kylie Scott with a nice pass to Anna Birch as she knocks down the jumper. CJ leading by 4. Later in the half, Kylie Scott takes over. She posts up and works around the defender for 2. Next possession, Scott drives in for the layup. And then we go to the second quarter. Kylie Scott shows her range as she hits the 3. The future Oral Roberts commit led CJ with 20 points last night. In the second half, Desi Williams goes into the lane and turns around to get the shot off. Lady Bulldogs lead by 12. Into the fourth quarter, Jaden Howard hits the jump shot. Then Carl Junction ices this game as Deshae Berge is open for the basket. Carl Junction moves on to the winner's bracket. CJ beats Olathe North 52-39. Well, still to come, a new study says improving memory for seniors could be as simple as taking a normal daily type of supplement. We'll have those details. Plus, up another check of that forecast, tell you when warmer temperatures return when we return.
Peanut butter and bacon may seem crazy to you. Favorite. In finance, they call that one heck of a deal. $1.99 Sonic quarter-pound double cheeseburger.
Every Thursday from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., play for your chance to win up to $5,000 cash.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is coming up on 5:20 on this finally Friday here in the 4 states, and it is a cold one out there. Our camera on the Cornell Complex showing some clouds, showing the wind, and well, you can't see the cold, but I can assure you it is quite cold out there. MoDOT camera, 20th and range line. Also, good news is, of course, we got a lot more melting done. There's still just little bits of snow here and there, but nothing significant by any means. And we've had some light flurries out there as well. KDOT camera, south of Pittsburgh, 69, looking great this morning as we get this Friday underway. This, not looking so great. We have wind chill advisories across the entire area. Again, there are 4, if I'm remembering right, different forecast offices that cover our viewing areas. So when it comes to things like this, they don't always agree on time. So for the bulk of southeast Kansas, these run until 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Bourbon, Crawford, Cherokee counties in southeast Kansas, and then into southwest Missouri, these run until noon. Oklahoma and Arkansas, they run until, noon on Saturday. I got to get that straight because these ones in Oklahoma and Arkansas run until noon today, but then they will go back into effect at midnight tonight and run until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Skywatch Storm Tracker is clear. Again, a few flurries out there, some clouds here and there across the area. Nothing is going to be appreciable out of this. So kids, if you're waking up and you're going, oh, you said snow. Well, unfortunately, it's not enough snow to really get you out of school today. I do apologize, but you got to get back at it. 9 in Joplin right now. Feels like 8 below with a north-northwest breeze of 15, gusting upwards of 24. And take a look. This Arctic blast rolled in with a vengeance last night. Temperatures around the region, single digits for the most part. Got 7 Yates Center, Fort Scott, 8 in Nevada. And again, I do believe this is that weird temperature anomaly. It shows up on this map every so often. But regardless, it's still cold in northeast Oklahoma. Wind chills upwards of 5, 10 below zero out there. So again, bitterly cold, hence the wind chill advisories. And we could see wind chills, unfortunately, upwards of 20 below out there between today and tomorrow. A few flurries possible, mostly cloudy skies, breezy out there. Temperatures making it into the low teens by late morning, whereas yesterday morning we were into the upper 30s. It is bitterly cold today, partly cloudy skies, breezy, northwest wind gusting upwards of 30 at times. Temperatures, best we're going to muster is the upper teens out there. If you're lucky, you might hit 20 degrees in some locations. Partly cloudy skies through the night and still breezy out there. Again, hence the wind chill advisories. And we will be dropping back down once again into the single digits. We go into Monday. We could start the day briefly with a wintry mix, and then as temperatures warm, that's going to transition to rain. And this is what we've been talking about all next week is we'll have rain across the area and we'll have pauses. So it's not going to rain all day every day, but we're going to have scattered showers and maybe even a rumble of thunder or two as we go all through next week into next Friday, which we can show you as well on the 7-day forecast. We're going to make it up to the mid-30s on Sunday, low 20s tomorrow, still breezy, of course. Then we start to warm up heading into next week. Temperatures getting into the 40s, pushing close to 50, at least trying. And as we head into the weekend, even warmer temperatures on the horizon. We just have to get through a couple of 2 or 3 Arctic days out there before things do start to warm up again. Let's check your forecast. We're back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
The area's favorite premier gaming destination is starting to
manufactured, so you have the highest indoor air quality after installation. Beautify your home today. Come see the full lines of Shaw Flooring at Derailed Commodity Flooring and Furniture.
Topping Health Watch this morning, the University of Evansville kicked off a new event that could become an annual tradition. On Wednesday, the men's basketball team held a sensory-inclusive game. As Liz DeSantis reports, one of the players got the idea from his younger brother.
Brantley Myers is his brother's biggest fan.
He's gonna be really famous one day.
The 8-year-old goes to every single University of Evansville basketball game to watch his brother Tyler Myers play. It didn't take long, though, for his older brother to realize that he had trouble sitting through some of the games.
He was having a hard time with overstimulation, and I always wanted to do something about it. And So I started doing research.
That's when Tyler learned that 1 in 6 people in the U.S. dealt with some sort of invisible disability. He started the nonprofit Sensory Inclusion to do something about it.
It gave me a platform to really share my love for my brother and to help people like him.
2 years later, the freshman guard is hosting the Ford Center's very first Sensory Inclusion Night, complete with dimmed lights and free bags with sensory-friendly gear.
We want to set a standard of normality. We want everyone to accept the individuals and be able to wear your headphones out and have your fidgets and not really think of anything of it.
Brantley is pretty proud of his older brother.
How do you feel about that?
Tyler's family aren't the only ones who are excited, though. Amanda Kaysen says the inclusive event makes it easier for both her sons to have a good time.
My son, if it's too loud or overwhelming, it's a little hard to get him to want to come. So it was exciting to see this and try it.
With both their boys happy, that means Kaysen is finally able to relax and enjoy herself, too.
Seeing things where the community is working together to support kids that have special needs in any way whatsoever is a really cool thing to see.
And the sensory-friendly game is something that the team hopes to do every year. Democratic lawmakers introduced legislation that would protect access to infertility treatments like in vitro fertilization. Thursday, lawmakers put forward a plan they call the Access to Family Building Act. It would make access to assisted reproductive technology a statutory right. The law would also let patients retain authority over how sperm and eggs are used during such treatments. Democratic Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois says that the bill would protect against strict state abortion laws that try to define fertilized eggs as human beings with rights. This bill will be next to referred to by the committee, which would decide if it should be considered. And a new study says improving memory for seniors could be as simple as taking a normal daily type of supplement. A report says research from 3 studies examining a clinical trial at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston and the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center in Seattle says seniors taking a multivitamin daily could help fight off memory loss. A meta-analysis of all 3 studies together says multivitamins can help cognitive functions like reasoning, recalled memories, and attention. Study authors say it isn't clear yet which vitamins have the best effects, and more research is needed among populations other than white. And every 4.5 minutes, a baby is born with a birth defect, according to the CDC. While many will go on to live long lives, these defects are a leading cause of death for infants in the U.S. Mandy Gaither has more on how the risk of birth defects can be reduced.
At 37 weeks, Amy DeSantis gave birth to twins. It's also the day she found out one of her babies had a heart defect requiring life-saving surgery, as well as Down syndrome, a chromosomal abnormality.
You just feel like the wind is knocked out of you. A lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, fear of the unknown. Now you don't know what your child's life is going to look like.
DeSantis' story isn't uncommon.
1 in 33 babies is born in the United States with a birth defect.
There are many causes of birth defects, including genetics, behaviors, as well as social and environmental factors. While not all defects can be prevented, some can. That's why it's critical to know your family's medical history and have healthy behaviors even before pregnancy, says Dr. Elizabeth Chareau with March of Dimes.
Things like smoking, alcohol, or other illicit drug use, we really need to curtail because those will be causes. And then getting into medications, what's safe and what's not safe in pregnancy.
Chareau says those who are pregnant should also take 400 micrograms of folic acid daily, as well as prenatal vitamins to lower risks.
If you have twins or there are other family history, there may be more that you would need.
And if you do have a baby born with a birth defect, DeSantis says help is out there. Her son, now 14, is thriving.
They may look different than they did when we were pregnant or what we originally thought, our child's lives were going to look like, but you hold on to that hope.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
For more information on birth defects and maternity care, you can check out the March of Dimes website at marchofdimes.org. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we've got another Arctic blast making it bitterly cold out there and gusty northwest winds. We'll have another look at your forecast when we come back.
Here for several weeks.
Ask about Vraylar and learn how AbbVie could help you save.
Right now at 5:30, the city of Wyandotte unveils its newest firefighting tool.
And we've got that Arctic blast making it very cold out there this morning, and it is breezy. We'll take a look at that forecast, get you out the door, coming up.
Plus, we'll hear from a Southwest Missouri school about how they determine when to declare a snow day.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5:33 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
And I'm Chris Warner. So it is another cold one out there. It wasn't too bad yesterday. It was chilly yesterday.
It was actually nice yesterday.
Yeah, I let the kids outside. Yeah. I'm like, here, get out there. Go. Use some energy because you're not going to be able to use it for a little bit longer here. And here's what's going on. That Arctic blast rolling in overnight. Temperatures plummeting back behind that cold front and winds increasing as well. Take a look at the MODOT camera, 20th and range line as it's swaying in the breeze there. Zoomed in a bit, of course, so we know the traffic pole is not rocking back. We'd have concerns if it was. Thankfully, it's not, but it's an indication that it is breezy and it is quite cold. But the roadways are clear. Skywatch Storm Tracker, a few clouds out there. We've had a few flurries here and there, and we'll very likely see a few additional flurries as we go through the morning before they'll taper off and move on out. And other than that, we have a decent day in terms of at least sky conditions out there. Unfortunately, temperatures are going to paint a different picture for us. Wind chill advisories across the entire area, bulk of southeast Kansas through 11 o'clock tomorrow. Then Bourbon, Crawford, Cherokee counties in southwest Missouri until noon tomorrow. And then Oklahoma, Arkansas, noon today is when they'll expire. Then they'll go back into effect at midnight tonight and run until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. And that is for wind chills. It could be upwards of 20 below zero out there. So we're talking dangerously cold temperatures again. It is 9 degrees in Joplin, 8 in Pittsburgh right now. Kids getting on the bus, they are going to want to bundle up out there because unfortunately with this Arctic blast, no snow to cancel the school. So they need to be bundled up waiting on that bus. A few flurries, mostly cloudy, breezy, 9 when the bus picks them up. And when we come home, we're talking upper teens out there, partly cloudy skies, winds still gusting upwards of 30. Breezy today, partly cloudy, so at least the sun will give the illusion that it's nice outside. The temperatures again, though, there's no illusion there as we're only into the upper teens. The good news is this Arctic blast, again, significantly shorter than the one we just got through. We'll talk about when it ends and when we warm up again in that full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, some local schools saw students for the first time yesterday since the winter weather hit the 4 states. While some districts used snow days, others also took advantage of AMI days. AMI stands for Alternative Method of Instruction, which means students are studying from home. Carthage schools, for example, had 1 snow day and used 2 AMI days.
Well, I think the concept was born during the pandemic, but I also think that just now that the technology is there for a lot of schools and that kids have the ability to learn from home, virtually, I think that it's an opportunity now that the state has implemented.
If it's too cold outside, I don't like staying out there for very long, so it's nice to have something to come inside and do when you're not outside doing stuff.
But not every district in the area used AMI days. Carl Junction schools, for example, chose not to use them. We tried reaching out to that district, but they were not available for interviews yesterday. And Missouri Southern yesterday hosted Campus Involvement Day. This annual event was for all registered student organizations, departments, campus clubs, or programs to promote their organizations to the student body. The event provided a way to introduce new students to organizations and opportunities.
I think it gives them a chance to see, where they can fit in or where they can belong, or maybe just find out stuff that they never knew even existed.
Every single time they have one of these involvement fairs, I get so excited. There are so many new clubs this year. That's probably my favorite part about it, is just getting to see all of the different clubs that we have going on.
The Campus Activities Board will also host an escape room event on Thursday, February 1st. And the Joplin Public Library is showcasing the work of some Joplin High School art students. The library yesterday opened the exhibit called Surrealism. It features drawings and paintings made by students in the surrealist style, which often features unnerving, illogical scenes.
It's really encouraging and inspiring. I
I like when we get to do things like this with younger groups because I think it's really important that younger people see what it's like to be a working artist and to experience having your work on a wall in an institution.
I is like such an open place that you can just fill in with anything. And so I was like, I could just do a close view of an eye and fill it in with something that's not normal.
The pieces were judged yesterday with the top 3 recognized. And the Wyandotte Fire Department welcomes its newest firefighting tool, a brand new truck. The 11-foot wet rescue truck has a ton of storage space, including a 300-gallon tank with an integrated 12-gallon foam cell and a 100-foot hose. The team looked forward to the truck so much that they braved recent sub-zero temperatures to pick it up. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Scientists say more of Greenland may be melting than originally thought. Plus, a severe drought around one of the world's most important trade routes is causing major economic issues. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
Live closed captioning on KOAM News is sponsored by Aaron Sachs & Associates, proud partner of Travis Kelce and his foundation, 87 and running.
Topping World Watch, Axiom Space launches its 3rd private astronaut plane to the International Space Station Thursday. The capsule taking off from the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida. The mission, the 3rd in a series of private astronaut missions by Axiom Space, is said to be a precursor to the commercial modules the company wants to install on the ISS. Those modules are expected to become the core of a future standalone commercial space station following the retirement of the International Space Station. Axiom 3's crew is comprised of 4 astronauts from Italy, Turkey, Sweden, and a dual U.S.-Spanish citizen. They should reach the ISS Saturday and will spend 2 weeks there performing experiments. The launch was originally set for Wednesday, but was scrapped due to technical issues. And a severe drought around one of the world's most important trade routes is causing major economic issues. The drought, which began last year in Panama, causing water travel along the Panama Canal to be cut by 36%. The canal is one of the most used trade routes in the world. The dipping water levels, which are causing massive traffic jams for vessels, could now cost the nation between $500 and $700 million in losses this year, compared to previous estimates of $200 million. Compared to previous estimates of $200 million, this drought is one of the most severe to ever strike the Central American country. Canal authorities say the drought can be blamed on climate change and the El Nino weather pattern. And scientists say more of Greenland may be melting than originally thought. A new study claims the amount of Greenland's ice sheet that has been melting since 1985 may have been underestimated by as much as 20%, or 1,965 square miles. The new figures concerning scientists who say that much of the miscalculation shows an increased risk of shifts in ocean currents and global weather patterns. Greenland's melting ice sheet is said to be the biggest contributor to the rise in global sea levels. Its rate of ice retreat has been increasing steadily since 2000. And despite Israel's month-long offensive, Hamas militants are still putting up a stiff resistance across the Gaza Strip, leading to tough questions about whether the Israeli offensive is working. Correspondent Alex Hogan has more from Tel Aviv.
The Israeli military says its troops are slowly making their way through Khan Yunis in central Gaza, and they've now reached the southern part of the city, clearing the area of Hamas fighters block by block. But despite a 3-month-long offensive, the militants are still putting up a strong fight, not only in the southern and central parts of Gaza, but also in the north as well, even after Israel said it had largely defeated Hamas there. Now, casualties are climbing on both sides, but Israeli officials say that they have no choice but to press forward.
How else can we defend ourselves if our enemies decided to entrench themselves in an infrastructure of terror?
Meanwhile, the Qatari government confirmed the first shipments of medicine have entered Gaza under a new agreement between Israel and Hamas, but it's still not clear if they've been distributed to the hostages or civilians, many of whom say they haven't seen any aid since the fighting started.
The whole world stood still to allow the entry of medication for 120 hostages, but no one is paying attention to the 2.3 million prisoners in Gaza.
And as efforts to free the remaining hostages continue, we spoke to a doctor treating the children who have been released. She says their mission is not to make the children forget about the trauma, but rather to help them cope with it for the rest of their lives.
Could not raise their voice, could not walk, sometimes could not stand. This is not something that will just disappear.
On Thursday, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan met with the families of the American hostages. It's not clear if any rescue operations were discussed.
And that's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dow Quick, and I'm inviting you on a holiday vacations tour. Join me July 18th to the 20th.
Like #1 chef dad cooking up a free hot breakfast for the entire family at a comfort hotel.
Mom made this.
I added the garnish. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. Coming up now on 5:48 on this Friday morning, and it is a cold and breezy Friday morning. As you can see with our camera on top of the Cornell Complex downtown Joplin, the flags on City Hall blowing in the wind, the camera itself shaking, and a few clouds out there. We've even had some light snow, light flurries. None of that sticking, of course, but we have seen some of that out there. May see a little bit more through the morning. At 20th and Range Line, MoDOT camera there, also kind of shaking in the wind as we have got very gusty winds, and as such, we do have wind chill advisories across the area, which we'll touch on in just a moment. KDOT camera just south of Pittsburgh. The good news is on all of these, the highways, the roadways, everything is clear. We got a lot of melting done yesterday thanks to those warmer temperatures. We have wind chill advisories across the entire region running through at least Saturday, and the ones in Oklahoma and Arkansas will expire at noon today, go back into effect tonight, and run through 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. And that's because our wind chills could be upwards of 20 degrees below zero. Skywatch Storm Tracker showing a few clouds here and there. We have a few more off to our south and west trying to sneak in here, and underneath all of that we could see a few additional flurries, maybe a brief period of light snow out there. In Joplin right now, very windy, 9, feels like 8 below. North-northwest breeze is at 15, gusting upwards of 24, and we'll see those gusts pushing as high as 30 miles an hour today. Temperatures around the region for the most part at 10 degrees or below that, but we got some warm spots. Warm. Monette 13, 14 in Cassville and Bentonville, 11 in the Wada. The rest of us off to a very cold start. And regardless of what your temperature is, those wind chills are very brutally cold out there. Upwards of 10, almost 15 degrees below zero in some instances across the area. So a very cold start to the day. As we get our morning underway, again, a few flurries will be possible out there. They'll be fairly isolated, and again, they're not going to amount to anything, but don't be surprised if you see some flakes flying. And we're going to have partly cloudy skies in the low teens by late morning, whereas yesterday morning, same time, we were in the upper 30s. Very cold today. Upper teens, the best we're going to muster with those bitterly cold temperatures out there. Partly cloudy skies, again breezy, and we'll head into tonight still breezy. Temperatures falling back into the single digits, looking at a low right around 6 degrees out there under mostly clear skies. Well, a few clouds here and there for our Saturday into the low 20s, so another cold one. Still chilly for our Sunday, cloudy out there. And as we head into next week, though, rain chances begin to increase across the area. So some much needed rain on the way. But the other side of this is we get warmer temperatures. Look at those temperatures crawling into the 40s, upper 40s, overnight lows hanging out in the mid to upper 30s. And as we head toward next weekend, temperatures looking to be even better, upper 40s, maybe even some mid 50s out there across the area as well. So we just have this brief little Arctic blast to get through heading into the weekend, and then it's going to warm right back up across the 4 states. Let's check your forecast. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Are you or a family member in need of care in the home? We invite you to become a part of our Phoenix family. Whether you're a caregiver, nurse, or client, we look forward to getting to know you. Reach out today.
There are sports fans, and then there's this guy. Meet the man who took it upon himself to commission a 60-foot mural in his yard for the Chiefs and all things Kansas City. Alan Shope spoke with him and shows us that mural.
This was just a big, ugly concrete retaining wall.
Well, that was then. This is now.
We really wanted to turn it into something that was actually appealing to look at.
And for Parkville's Tom Klein, few things look better than this stadium and this quarterback.
And that facial expression.
So we called Kansas City artist Melissa Ferris and said, paint me a giant 60-foot mural.
He told me he wanted a Kansas City concept.
And we wanted all things Kansas City, and with a special focus on our sports team.
So Melissa went to work.
We wanted it realistic. We wanted some Kansas City icons and some sports players.
So the project grew and grew, adding more Kansas City landmarks, even Town Topic and Arthur Bryant's.
If you start on one end of the court and move, it's like it moves with you.
Yeah, 60 feet long and growing.
It's just something I love to do.
Melissa says it took about a month to complete, but she says some days were colder than others.
There were days where it was 35 and it was so cold I could barely even paint.
As for Tom, he's not done yet. He says next up are the Royals World Series banners, and somehow he's going to get his favorite player on this wall.
Kelsey's coming.
And Klein didn't say if he's also saving room for Taylor Swift. We'll be right back with more news after this.
Don't miss this Tony Award-winning adult comedy. Call, click, or visit to reserve your seats. See you at the theater.
If you can go without your smartphone for 1 month, this company will pay up. Dairy company Siggy's Dairy is offering $10,000 if you do a digital detox. The company says it will choose 10 participants based on the essays they submit when they sign up. To make sure the participants don't cheat, Siggy's will send them a lockbox and a flip phone with a prepaid SIM card good for 1 month. When the month is up, the 10 participants could receive $10,000 and 60 cups of Siggy's yogurt. The company says the goal of the contest is to help people start new healthy habits this year and beyond. If you are interested, you can sign up on Siggy's website. You have until January 31st. And for a lot of people, Friday is movie night, which is convenient because this year it's also National Popcorn Day. Observed every year on January 19th, according to nationaldaycalendar.com, the Aztecs used popcorn in headdresses during religious ceremony. The site fascinated early Spanish explorers. To them, popcorn looked like white flowers. In the U.S., popcorn gained popularity, forgive the pun, in the mid-1800s. Later on, candy store owner Charles Creders invented a machine for popping corn with steam. By 1900, he had horse-drawn popcorn wagons deployed throughout Chicago.
And of course, our very own Helen at the front desk here makes fresh popcorn for us every day that you can do up any way you want, and it's always amazing. So a great day to go up and visit Helen and get some popcorn. We're talking temperatures into the upper teens today. Partly cloudy skies, northwest winds gusting upwards of 30. That's why we have wind chill advisories out there, because we could see wind chills as low as 20 below zero as we go through today, tonight, and into our Saturday as well. We are looking at temperatures falling back into the single digits tonight. We'll go mostly clear overnight. As we head into the weekend, we're still cold Saturday and breezy, low 20s. We'll go mid-30s Sunday, more clouds, and then rain chances do begin to increase as we head into the next work week. And our temperatures are going to follow suit and begin to increase out there as well, climbing into the 40s, upper 40s, and as we head into next weekend, we could see temperatures even better out there. So something to look forward to. All we have to do is get through about, 3 days of bitterly cold temperatures, and then things are going to get a lot better down here in the 4 states. That's a quick check of your forecast. We'll be back with more of the KOAM morning news right after this.
Guarantee today's funeral prices. Pre-arrange at Bath Naylor.